Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be reacting to a video called Why American Tourists Annoy the French. So I have a bit of a cold and that's why I'm sounding like quite weird today. But I'm excited to check this out. I think it's like, you can take this as a bit of like a cautionary tale of like, okay, tell me what not to do when I'm in France in order to not to annoy anyone. Because obviously when you're in a new country, you want to like be respectful, be mindful, and you don't want, people to actually like hate you, right? Like you don't get a bad rep of like, oh, we hate tourists and it's because of like doing those things. So let's find out what not to do and comment, like, and subscribe.
Hey there, fellow travelers, Mark here with Walter's World, and today we're in Como, France, and today we're going to talk about ways that tourists kind of could upset the locals when they come here to France. And that's one thing I really don't want people to do. I want you to go and enjoy a country, enjoy a city, without rubbing the locals the wrong way, okay? Yes. And when you come to France, probably the first thing you might do that might upset a local is if you walk into a store and you don't greet them back with a bonjour, because you darn well know when you walked into that store, you walked into that restaurant, someone said bonjour, and that is how we work here in France. You need to make sure you greet people when you come into a shop, when you come into a store, because that's just how it is. If you don't do that, you're already starting on the wrong.
Actually, yes. I don't think I'm trying to think of like, yes, there are some countries, or maybe some countries, cultures, I don't know, that they have that thing of like when you're entering like a place of like he said, maybe not a restaurant, but maybe like a store. You sort of like, you say hello, like, hey, afternoon, something like that, well, bonjour, but something of the sort of like a greeting. I don't know how many cultures have that actually, but I think it's always been like a really polite thing to do and to say, but I know not everyone has it, but I think everyone should actually do it because it's polite to say hello when you're like entering a place. And maybe you're not going to say hello, but every culture has their own way of like say hello or to do like greet the actual person that works there. But I always think that more countries should actually adapt that, if not everyone does it.
So that's one thing I gotta say. Now, another thing I think is important for tourists to know when they come here, you're not gonna win any fans as you complain about all the smoking here in France. You'll notice there's lots of outdoor cafes everywhere, and every single outdoor cafe, on every single table, there seems to be an ashtray or a stack of ashtrays that can go on there. Yeah, look, you may be coming from a country where smoking isn't cool anymore. Well, here in France, nobody cares. Yeah, smoking is definitely a thing here in France. And the thing is, if you don't like it, just go inside and sit inside. You may think, well, I want to sit outside and enjoy it. Well, here in France, you can smoke outside. You can't smoke inside, so just be aware of it. And if you're one of those people saying, pardon, could you put out the cigarette? You're not going to make any friends that way.
They'll hate you.
Another thing that might upset the locals is when you go to a store, you go to a restaurant, or you meet people in the street, and they start speaking English with you, and you start making comments about their French accent.
Oh my God, who would do that?
What you have to realize is French is a very strong language, so it really influences the other languages they speak, whether it's English or German or Spanish or whatever, so that French accent does come through. And here's the thing.
Isn't that true for every accent?
They're trying to interact with you.
Every language.
Don't be a jerk and make comments about their accent, whether it's, oh, that's so pretty, or, excuse me, what did you say? I can't understand your English, or I can't understand your German. I've heard that a lot here.
Oh my God, people are so rude.
Pay attention more. You'll get it across, they'll get it across to you eventually, but don't make fun of the accent when you're here. And another thing I think that goes along with that is, if you just start by speaking English right away, or just start by speaking German right away, or Italian right away, that is not something that really goes over well. Because look, if you don't speak French, that's fine. They understand that. But just using a few words like pardonnez-moi, excuse me, je ne parle pas français, I don't speak French, or merci, au revoir, thank you, goodbye. Little things like this will ingratiate yourself. But if you just come in speaking English like, hey, I want this for dinner, and not a bonjour or a whatever, that's going to rub people the wrong way.
When you say like mercy in a weird accent.
And going along with that is you want to be careful, because a lot of people like, oh, I know some French. Voulez-vous coucher avec moi? Or, ooh la la, sacré bleu. Like, those silly French phrases you hear, don't use those, okay? Yeah. I don't think people are going to be upset with you, but you might get a few eye rolls, which sometimes for certain age groups is worse than having people not like you. So just be aware of that. And probably one word you don't want to use, especially if you're going to Paris, is if you need the waiter. Well, one, you're not going to get the waiter to like you if you try to wave them down, so don't do that. But also yelling garçon, garçon, which is like, hey boy, come here. Now, would you want someone yelling that to you? Of course not. So
What's the right term, actually?
Remember, you got to realize it takes time here in France to get service, to get things going.
Yeah.
When they pass by, just be l'addition, s'il vous plaît, the check, please, or you can just do the little check sign. It'll be okay. Okay, so just be aware of that. Now, another thing that will definitely upset the locals and maybe not piss them off, but break their heart, is if you pass up the cheese plate. And just in general, being picky about the food here in France.
Maybe lactose
yes, you will have cheeses here that pack a punch in terms of taste, but also smell. And sometimes people go, I don't know if I want to try that.
Well,
you can't do that when you're here. The food here in France is fantastic, and they want you to experience it. So don't be a picky eater.
How would you know if you don't like it?
What's wrong with my food? Did you at least try it? That's going to turn people off. And that really will show if you're looking at local food. And I think that's another thing, is just not eating the local specialties in different regions of France. Because a lot of people think, oh, I come to France, I have French onion soup, escargot, foie gras, and frog legs with some steak and fries. And that's what I eat every single day. I mean, you could. Frog legs are hard to get, but you could eat all that. But the thing is when you go to different regions, the food is completely different.
Yeah, they have
here in
their own
Alsace and Colmar, you're having completely different food than you have in Bordeaux or you have in Rennes, okay? Because here, you have sauerkraut with meat on it. Yeah, you have sauerkraut here. Or you have Flammkuchen, which is like a flatbread kind of pizza thing with a creamy cheese topping, like instead of marinara sauce. And you go to Normandy, where you have the oysters and the cider there. You want to drink and eat the local stuff. Because the people are very proud, not just of being French, but proud of their regions, proud of their cities. And so therefore they want to make sure you eat the local stuff. That's why it's cool. The menus here will have like Alsatian specialties for Alsace, Bordeaux specialties when you're in Bordeaux, Brittany specialties when you're in Brittany. That's really great. But if you're a tourist and you kind of shy away from that, that's something that turns off the locals, because that's something they have a lot of pride in. Now, another thing that will probably upset your French friends is if you assume that they're from Paris and they wear a beret. Look, I know in the movies or the TV shows or the Netflix series, it's all about you wear a beret that makes you French and you live in Paris. Look, France is one of the biggest countries in Europe. Like, you're talking hours and hours of drive to different parts of the country. Not everybody's from Paris, just like not everybody's from New York or
LA.
Right? And so don't think that everybody's from Paris. And the beret thing, look, you can tell when they're French and they wear a beret versus someone that's not French wearing a beret. Because the French, they know how to wear a beret, but not everyone wears it, so that's why you can easily tell. French guy knows how to wear that.
I was gonna say, you'll know someone's a tourist because they're wearing a beret and like a white and black like striped shirt and have like a black beret, and that's why you know it's a tourist trying to like dress as a French person.
Beret. French lady knows how to wear that beret. That's totally a tourist because they have no idea what they're doing. So just know that. Another thing I think is important, because a lot of tourists come through France. Another way you'll kind of upset the locals is if you're in a tour group and you kind of take up the whole square, or you take up the whole sidewalk, or you don't move out of the way for people to go by.
Yeah, people are busy.
We all know that Paris is popular for tourists, but here's a crazy thing. There's actually people that live there and work there and have to get to work. Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right?
Crazy,
so make sure you're moving out of the way with your tour group. And that's one thing I've seen in France, is actually the tour guides are kind of bad at getting their tour groups to move to the side. So take it upon yourself to get out of the way when you're in a tour group. Just to let other people see things, okay? Now, another little thing that might annoy French people when you're here is that you're loud. Just loud in general, whether you're on the train, the tram, the buses, at the cafe, at the bistro, at the restaurant. Loudness in those situations is not really appreciated, because it's more of an intimate setting. We're here with our friends. I'm having my coffee and my cigarette. I'm having my croissant and my juice. I'm having my whatever. And we're enjoying our company together, not your company over there who's so loud. Okay, so do be aware of that. That's why, you know, the drunk tourists kind of
hey, Mark, pass the cheese
here in France, because a lot of times drunk tourists get a bit loud. So just be aware of that. And then I think one that people use as a joke, but isn't always taken very nicely here, is we're going to be making fun and calling French like critters or losers or whatever because of the Second World War. What you have to realize is France has actually won quite a few wars throughout the years, and that history and focusing on that really negates all the history of France because of World War II. Okay, so just want to give you a few things that you might do just in jest or in fun or not even realize that might upset your French friends when you're here. So what are some other things that tourists do when they come to France that annoys the locals? Let us know in the comments below so people can have a better time here in France and have a better chance of meeting some of the wonderful people here. And I'll say au revoir from here in Colmar, France.
I'm sorry, but that last item, like, it's mind-blowing to me, because it's like, why would you even, like, insult people. Like, that's an insulting thing to like call them, like, to call a stranger or even a friend like, oh, you're a coward. And he's like, wait, what did I just did? It's like, no, because of the World War II. And it's like, what on earth are you talking about? It's like something that happened like 50 years, 60, 70 years ago. Like, I wasn't even alive back then. So what do you mean? It's like, oh, you're such a loser. It's like, what? I wasn't alive. It's crazy. And also, if you're referring to like, oh, it's the national identity or something, again, it's like it happened so long ago. Like, what on earth are you talking about? It's like, it seems crazy. And I think, again, if like putting the example of like American, just American tourists, I can think, I'm not gonna say it, but there's like a lot of things that the French people can reply back if someone like messes around with them, like, oh, they're insulting. It's like, I can think of like a huge number of things that they can actually reply back to you if you're an American, tourist. It's like, oh, really? Well, there's like a lot of things that I can actually reply back to you. So it's like, why would you do that? And also, like, again, if you like, if you're a tourist and you want to make new friends, or even if you're not, like, I'm not looking to make new friends, I'm just here on vacation, because I want to know the country, I want to visit this country. Why would you even like attempt to be insulting? It's like, do you want people to like you? Because it's like at again, you're in a new place. Like, maybe if you're not, like, my number one thing is not like meeting new people, but it's like, yes, okay, but like the bare minimum is for you to like, enjoy your time here. And why would you be insulting? It's like, well, and not even just in a new place. It's like, even in your old country, and in the place where you're from, why would you go around and like insulting people? It's like, that seems crazy to me. Like, you want people to like you. But the other things that they said, it's kind of funny to me that they're like, okay, and that maybe it goes a little with the, like, how rude you are. I was like, oh, why are you smoking here? Like, can you please move? And he's like, okay, it's you're visiting, and when you're visiting somewhere, even if it's just a country, or if you're like, even when you're visiting someone's house, you have to like play by their rules. Like, it's not your house. And you have to like see it like that. It's not your house. In your house, like, you have your own set of like rules. You want things a certain way. You like things in a certain manner. And when you are visiting someone's house, you wouldn't go around and just be like, oh, like, your table's dirty, or oh, you use like that brand of paper towels. Can you like switch? Or I don't really like you're cooking something like this. You shouldn't actually. It's like, you wouldn't go around someone's house when you're visiting and point all those things out. So why would you if you're visiting a country? Like, they have to, you have to adapt and adjust, because that's how they do things there. And when you're visiting, you have to adapt and be like, oh, well, okay, so they do things different here, and I have to do them as well. Because again, when you're visiting a place or somewhere, again, something that's not with that you're not from there, you have to adapt, as easy as that. And even when, and the opposite is true, like, when they come to your country, like, it's the same. They have to, they do things different here. And obviously I have to do it like that, because again, it's like I'm the one that's sort of like invading them. And maybe invading is like a little bit of a strong word, but it's similar to that. It's like, I'm the one that's here, visiting, and I'm not gonna tell you how to do things or how to change your lifestyle. So I think that smoking, it's sort of like that, of like, can you please stop smoking? It's like, no, because they live there, and for them, it's a normal thing. Everyone smokes. So you have to, again, if you don't like that, you can just get out of here, or you can just move, you can just go to another country, or, move tables, maybe less extreme. You don't have to like vacate the country, but go inside if it bothers you that much, because they're not going to switch, and they're not going to change their costumes just because you don't like it. So I think that goes around with all of that. And the French accent, again, I think it's so incredibly rude as well, of like, why would you point that out? Like, especially, again, coming from Americans that don't really speak, most of them don't really speak even a second language. And it's like, why would you even say, like, if a French person or any person is actually attempting to speak, another language, like, what would you be like, oh, you have like a very strong accent and I can't really understand you. Like, I think that's so incredibly rude. It's like, why would you point that out? It's like, they know. It's like, yes, of course, they're going to have a strong accent because it's not their native language, as easy as that. And if when you speak another language, of course it's going to bleed out. I speak another language, like the accent's going to come out. it's gonna bleed into it because I don't really speak that language. So it is kind of incredibly rude to me to like point that out and say like, oh, you have a very strong accent. It's like, well, yeah, because surprise, I don't speak English. It's like, so why would you go around and tell them, hey, you have like a pretty strong French accent. I don't really understand what you mean. It's like, okay, and please get out of there. Like, yes, you understand exactly what I mean because it's easily like understandable. And it's not like, oh, they're not pronouncing the words correctly. It's like, and come on. And even with that, again, it's like there are some places in the United States where they have like such strong accents that they are completely like it's unintelligible, especially like I think some places in the South, they really do have a very strong accent that I don't think even other people, like other English speakers and other Americans, can actually understand them. So it is like, please, compared to a French person speaking English, trust me, like you can understand. I can assure you, they'll speak better English. Not better. It's just like you'll be able to understand them better than some people in the South of the USA. I don't know. That's my opinion. And obviously like the food situation, it's like, yes, I think that's more of it doesn't really, I don't think maybe it's that rude. I think maybe obviously maybe it's offensive for them. I think it's more about like it really does tell you more about like the person that's traveling, of like, why would you go around and you want to visit a new place, you want to visit a new country, and obviously part of the experience is understanding the culture, trying new things, trying the food, because I think the food is obviously so closely related to how a certain like culture does things, and it's usually something that people, it doesn't really matter what country you're from, usually food is something that's like really important for every culture, and everyone's very proud of their own like national dish, their own national, I don't know, play. Like the food is like a very important thing in cultures and for people. And if you sort of like insult, or because you can say, I don't really like it, and it's like, well, yeah, understandable. I'm not saying you have to like every single food in every single country, but if you have to be nice about it, it's like, well, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't really like this. Maybe if I'd grown up like eating this, probably would have been a different story. But it's like, you have to be nice. It's not like, oh, this is disgusting, I don't want to try this. It's like, well, yeah, that can be seen as sort of like insulting, not just the food, because the food is so important to the culture, that it comes across of you insulting the actual people from that region, from that country, from that city. So you have to be a little bit careful, I think, when it comes to like that. And if it's offered, of course you have to try it. Like he said, like if they bring out a cheese plate, you're not gonna be saying, oh my god, this is disgusting, like it smells horrible, like why would I try this? It's like, well, no, you would smile politely. You would actually try it, because sometimes the smell of cheese, cheese tends to smell like pretty strongly, and sometimes when it tastes, like when you're trying it, it doesn't really, it's like it smells not that good, but when you actually try it, it's like, oh well, it does, the actual taste is not that bad. So you have to try it, and if you don't like it, because seriously, like I just tried it and I really don't like it, well, again, you can be like, no, I think this like it's very strong for me, and I'm not used to like that kind of flavors. That's completely nice way to put it, and I think you're not going to offend anyone, and the people that are offering that to you, they're probably going to be like, oh, it's okay, like we understand. But you have to come across as nice, and there's like a willingness to try their food, to try their culture, because again, the food is sort of like a gateway to like a particular culture. So I think with food, it's like you have to be really careful, because people take it very seriously. And again, if you're if you're like encountering a new culture, a new place, a new type of dish, I think it's like I want to try it, right? Because that's the idea. That's why I'm traveling, because if I don't want to try, and if I don't want to know new things, why would I even travel here? I would just stay there in my own country, in my own city, and eat what I've always eat. Again, it's like that's why you're visiting a new place, and that's why you're visiting a new country. So I think that's kind of like, it speaks more about like how close-minded some people are, than it speaks more that tells you more about like the people itself in that region. It's like that I will never understand the people that travel to a new place and they're just like, no, we'll stick around with the old and try it. It's like, no, you're in a new place. Why would you to like go around and eat like a burger, like try the new things, try the new things that are being offered to you. Like there are usually some surprises, and you're gonna be like, wow, you know what, this is actually incredibly good. It's like, yes, exactly. And like he said, there are some like French sort of like, I was gonna say dishes, but you know, because I was thinking of like a croissant. A croissant is not actually a dish, but I think, like you said, like French onion soup or yeah, the foie gras, like some things that are just very popular. You know, they're known all over the world as like, oh, it's a French thing. But if I'm in France, I think they, again, usually the sort of like the food that travels, you know, outside of that country, and that it becomes popular all over the world, sometimes it doesn't really reflect what people eat in their everyday lives there. So it's like, yeah, so Cor, I want to know, like, what do you actually eat here? Because I'm guessing you don't live in just croissants and, I don't know, French onion soup, which I think it's a staple of French food, but I don't know how many like French people actually have that for like lunch or dinner. I think they each like French person like eats different kind of things, and especially like it's a regional situation, and people, you know, in Paris eat different things, people in the south of France eat different things. So it is like, yes, if you're traveling around, it's like ask around and see, hey, what do you eat here specifically in this specific region, because I know that they have like their own specific dish that's particular to this region of France. So it is like, yes, I think that's very exciting, and it's one of the most like important parts, and one of the like the funniest, the actually one of the most like fun parts of traveling. It's like meeting also new places and also food. And again, maybe you'll find something that you actually enjoy and like, and then you're like, oh, I want to replicate that when I get back home. I want to try to replicate like this dish. But I do really like this, and again, it was like a lot of things. I agree with all of that, and it's like, yes, people should be less annoying in France and in general, actually. I think that's a really good piece of advice. But that was it for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!